большие молодцы. Если вы не гик и не планируете возиться с кастомными прошивками, то Mediatek рассчитан на вас. Опять же, внимательно изучайте спецификации и смотрите тесты каждой модели. Всегда есть более или менее удачное решение. Qualcomm Snapdragon, безусловно, универсальные чипы и отлично поддерживают G-Cam. Они подойдут для всех, но на данном этапе у компании проблема с предфлагманским сегментом, а их графика Adreno прогрессирует значительно меньше, чем ARM Mali. Мы надеемся, что обе компании будут радовать нас мощными и стабильными процессорами во всех ценовых сегментах. А сейчас пришло время объявить победителя, к которому отправится Xiaomi Mi Band 5. Запускаем рандомайзер, и победителем становится Владимир Бобровный. Поздравляем, фитнес-браслет Xiaomi Mi Band 5 отправляется к вам. Спасибо за внимание, ставьте лайк этому видео, если оно вам понравилось, и подписывайтесь на наш канал. Оставляйте комментарии, задавайте вопросы, мы с радостью с вами пообщаемся.
Grammarly is your personal writing assistant for clear emails, confident messages, stronger essays, and more. Because sometimes the kitchen table is the office and the classroom. Grammarly offers suggestions to help you get work done from anywhere. It covers everything from correcting grammatical errors to rewording a phrase for an easier read. Grammarly lets you know when sentences could be clearer and explains why, so you and your kids can learn to be better writers every time you type. When you're thinking fast and writing faster, Grammarly provides tailored feedback, so your intended message comes through loud and clear. Use it on your computer or phone for a stronger, more confident delivery wherever you write. Grammarly helps you and your family work efficiently, so you can focus on what matters. Write with Grammarly, wherever you work.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the smartphone for Snapdragon insiders. This is a collaboration between ASUS and Qualcomm, and of course, tries to feature some of the best technologies that Qualcomm has to offer. I'm talking about the 888, I'm talking about 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of internal storage. I'm also talking about great cameras on this device. Quick Charge 5.0 to top it off in about 37 minutes. Lastly, the ability of using Snapdragon Sound. That was something that was announced, and now we actually have a pair that's designated or designed to actually try to give us the best sound quality on mobile. Giving us the ability of enjoying these earbuds, of course, are very, very nice. They were packaged together, but let's not waste any time. This is the smartphone for Snapdragon insiders. I'm TK, and this is XDA TV. Let's check them out. Now, as far as the packaging and what we get here, obviously Qualcomm did an amazing job sending us this review unit. Thank you very much. And what you're seeing here essentially is a Snapdragon experience. We're greeted right away with the smartphone as well as the earbuds from Master and Dynamic, basically aiming for us to have a very good sound experience. They include a very nice case for the earbuds themselves, the Quick Charge 5.0 charger in the package. The charger is capable of providing us up to 96% in about 30 minutes if the device is off, and 100% in about 44 minutes as well if the device is off. If you have it on, it'll take about 55 minutes, but it's still very fast. And of course, we also have a nice little bumper case that provides us protection on the sides of the smartphone. Overall, a very focused experience designed between ASUS and Qualcomm. Now, when it comes down to the specification of the smartphone, obviously we're going to be packing some of the best technologies available right now. The Snapdragon 888, and of course supporting with the 6.78-inch 1080p 144Hz display, capable of providing us an 800 up to 1200 nits in outdoor lighting. So indoors up to 800 and outdoors up to 1200. HDR10 and HDR10 Plus certification. The stock Android experience here is, as you can kind of see here, for the most part you have the feed on the left, everything else is pretty much customized, and again it looks as if it's basically a stock Android experience running Android 11 under the hood. We have a 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM here, 512 UFS 3.1 storage here, and of course, all of this is supporting the 4,000 mAh battery that we have here that is also supported with the Quick Charge 5.0 technology. capable of charging it from 0 to about 96% in about 30 minutes and 100 in about 44 if the device is off, and if you have it on, about 70% in 30 minutes and 100% in about 55 minutes. Still very nice. The fingerprint sensor is present on the back, and this is a Gen 2 fingerprint sensor. This was the one that was announced a couple of years ago at the summit. And one of the main benefits here is that I feel like it's in the right spot. I don't mind not having it in the display, because here, one of the main benefits here is that I feel like it's in the right spot. I don't mind not having it in the display, because here is where my finger lays, and it always works perfectly there. Volume rocker, power button on the right, one of the microphones, secondary microphone on the top. Nothing, pretty much a clean slate on the left. On the bottom, third microphone, USB-C, the bottom firing speaker for the stereo experience. A dual SIM card tray capable of supporting 5G across the world. On the back, 64 primary shooter, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto. And again, we have a breathing logo here from Qualcomm, as you can see here. You can customize it. It doesn't change any colors, but you have either a static or a breathing pattern. And of course, the big name, Snapdragon, powering this entire thing. Qualcomm did include in the package the Snapdragon sound earbuds made by Master and Dynamic. These are running 11mm drivers or beryllium drivers with amazing ANC. The ability of supporting all the way up to basically 24-bit 96 kilohertz audio on wireless with the Bluetooth 5.2 that we have here. And of course, lastly, the ability of also having low latency for gaming. The antennas also are built in so that we have great connectivity, as well as the fact that the microphones that we have here and the technology supported here does support the aptX4 super wide band technology from Qualcomm for clear audio, as well as clear, basically video quality audio whenever you're using these earbuds with your smartphone. I wanted to do a quick sample for you guys just to show you the Snapdragon sound capabilities. We have a triple microphone setup here that's capable of giving us some of the best audio we can get on a mobile device. Now, this is a selfie video. 1080p 60 is going to be the maximum we can get from the front. Let's go ahead and switch over to the back-facing sensor and get all the way up to 8K. Lastly, I want to show you guys real quick a quick sample of the back-facing sensor. Now, I'm shooting it at 4K 60 frames per second. It is capable of going all the way up to 8K, but I feel like 8K is just not a shareable content, meaning we don't really send 8K videos to friends. 4K 60, this would be a great example with HDR audio on the brand new Snapdragon smartphone. Now when it comes down to customization and software feature, again, this is Android 11 running in a stock form, so you'll notice right there very little customizations in what we've seen from ASUS in the past. You're basically going to be getting a very good experience when it comes down to updates, because there's not much to change from the stock experience when it's released. So the hope here is that we're going to be able to get faster updates, faster security patch updates on the smartphone because of the way they implemented Android on here. You can customize the sound and vibration and all of the options here directly within the customizations here, or you can also go in directly into the notification panel and just hit the sound optimization, and that's going to automatically open up the app for us. The app automatically is set to be under automatic. You can go to music, movies, game, and of course audio configuration. Now, there's also another app here made specifically for the Snapdragon sound capabilities with the Master and Dynamic buds. So first and foremost, it is a preloaded app, so you just need to open it up, so the MND. So here it is, the MW08S, and then of course charges 100%. If you want to customize the ANC, you have a whole bunch of options between on, off, and ambient, as well as max ANC and all-day ANC. As far as timeout, and of course, last but not least, is in-ear detection, as we do have that supported on these buds. Very nice and very easy to customize. And of course, the display, as I mentioned to you guys, is 144 Hz, and you're able to change it on the fly here directly from the notification panel. You have auto refresh rate 60, 120, and 144. There's no 90 option at this point. And then lastly, you can also turn on the actual experience here when it comes down to the breathing or the light effect. If you have it on, you can either have it on, none, static, or breathing. I was hoping for something a little bit more with colors, as far as basically the red and gold color that we typically see from Snapdragon, but I think it's still very nice to be able to get a logo that illuminates in the back. The fingerprint sensor is one of the best options that we get here, and of course, this device just screams speed. The best way to explain this is literally if another company was trying to make a Pixel smartphone, but giving us literally the experience of ASUS when it comes down to their gaming capabilities, and of course Qualcomm when it comes down to their performance, and the Snapdragon sound capabilities are amazing. Now as far as the cameras, one of the things that you'll definitely notice here is that they're capable of providing us a very mixed experience. We're talking all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second down to 720 on the main sensor in the back, with HDR preview as well in the camera, in there with the ultra wide. On the front-facing camera experience, 1080p 60 frames per second is going to be the maximum. One of the other options you may have heard already about is that the DxO mark has been released this morning, up to 133, which making this literally the #1 smartphone in the US and maybe #6 internationally. And that's a big move for Qualcomm. And the intention with this smartphone is that Qualcomm wants to give us all the capabilities that they typically announce at their launch events, right? When we saw the 888 announced, there was the triple ISP, the AI optimization, there's a lot of things that Qualcomm wanted to push and give us the capabilities of doing on a smartphone. And what we typically get from other OEMs is that they insert their flavor of optimizations to smartphones. As I mentioned, unlocked 5G across the world, that's something that you can't get on any other smartphone because typically they're region locked because they're made for specific regions. This smartphone is intended for Snapdragon insiders across the world, so there's a very distinct experience that we're getting in here. The camera capabilities, as I mentioned to you guys, are very good, but hopefully the update that's going to be pushed at the end of the month will give us the capabilities to match the 133 score for the DxO mark. Again, making it #1 in the US and about #6 across the rest of the world. I think overall, this is a great combination for true enthusiasts. If you're looking for something like this, if you've ever thought about it, I'm hoping this video kind of gave you a nice little overview of this, and there'll be, again, a much more deeper dive on this when it comes down to the camera later on. The main benefit, of course, is that this is literally one of the best smartphones you can get featuring the Snapdragon 888 smartphone in 2021. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much.
Подарков на Алиэкспресс 23 по 27 августа.
Покупайте каждый день, получайте подарки и выиграете миллион рублей на покупки.
Ты никогда не заговоришь на английском. Так говорили мои учителя по английскому. Fortunately, they were wrong. Привет, меня зовут Алекс Рубанов, и я основатель онлайн-школы английского English. Я приглашаю тебя на свой самый популярный в России вебинар по английскому, который я решил сделать абсолютно бесплатным. И я надеюсь, ты понимаешь, что на английском языке невозможно заговорить ни за 16 часов, ни за день, ни за неделю. Но всего за 2 часа на моем бесплатном вебинаре можно понять, как устроен этот язык и как заговорить на нем всего за 2 месяца. И еще мы прямо на вебинаре поставим тебе правильное произношение. Ты раз и навсегда потеряешь языковой барьер и поймешь одну из самых сложных грамматических тем. А еще ты научишься запоминать слова быстро и просто.
Sabah everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the smartphone design in collaboration between ASUS and Qualcomm. It's called the Snapdragon Insider smartphone, and this embodies basically a unique experience. It's kind of like how we get pixels from Google. This is intended to give us Qualcomm's vision for a smartphone, featuring the best of the 888 series smartphone processors. We have 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of internal storage, a large display, 144 Hz, quick charge 5.0 support, and of course, Snapdragon sound. We believe getting high-fidelity audio using wireless earbuds. This is TK, and this is the Snapdragon Insider smartphone. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so they are always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. So the packaging that we get here is definitely a very unique experience. First and foremost, obviously, the box entirely says Snapdragon on it. You get the logo on the outside, and then when you open it up, you're greeted right there, right away with the smartphone. You get the Snapdragon smartphone right there, dead center, with the 2 earbuds made by Master and Dynamic. The main benefit here, of course, is the higher quality sound. It's just right there, dead center in the box. and expect more because this is an unlocked 5G device that should work with all the 5G technologies across the world. Next, when we look into it, we see that we have a quick charge 5.0 brick capable of providing us charging capabilities here up to basically 96% in about 30 minutes if the device is off, or 70%, and of course the ability of going all the way to 100% or 55 minutes when it's on. They do provide us with a USB-C cable and of course a nice bumper case to be able to protect the device. The package entirely just oozes of Snapdragon technologies and everything Snapdragon. And one of the main technologies that I'm really excited about is Snapdragon sound. So the smartphone is featuring a 6.78, 144 Hz 1080p panel with a 1 millisecond display, an 800 up to basically a 1200 nit brightness, so definitely should not have any problems watching it outside. HDR-Vent certification, HDR-Vent support plus certification as well. And again, as I mentioned to you guys at the beginning, Snapdragon 888, we have the stock Android 11. You'll notice right here the feed is on the left. Everything for the most part, when you're looking at it, with the exception of a few optimizations done by ASUS, is pretty much a stock Android experience. Android 11 is built in on top of basically the UI elements that we have in here. 16 gigs of internal RAM, LPDDR5, 512 of UFS 3.1. So literally the most you can get as far as RAM and storage on a smartphone today. No expandable storage, but the two 5G SIM cards supported here will support unlocked 5G, meaning you can use this 5G device on any network across the world because this is truly unlocked. This one of the features of the 888 that was announced. Now, the other thing that we also have here is stereo speakers. We have a front-firing speaker at the top here, which doubles as the earpiece, and on the bottom we have a bottom-firing speaker, the SIM tray here, as well as one of the microphones and a USB-C. On the left, we have pretty much a clean slate. On the top, not much other than just one of the microphones. And of course, on the right, we have a secondary microphone, a volume rocker, a power button that's accented ever so nicely with a little bit of a red color, so it gives us a nice little accent there. Gesture support, of course, with Android 11 is going to always be here. The front-facing camera is a 24-megapixel sensor with a 27mm front-facing focal length, and capable of providing us 1080p 30 frames per second video. As far as the back-facing sensors, we have a triple camera setup here. The primary shooter is a 64-megapixel f1.8 quad-Bayer camera, 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and an 8-megapixel telephoto up to 3 times optical zoom, and 10 times, of course, digital, basically a hybrid between the two. Capabilities here, top, we have a triple camera setup.
Да ты чё, блин, ты чё, грёбаный? Отвали уже.
Of course, with Android 11 is going to always be here. The front-facing camera is a 24-megapixel sensor with a 27mm front-facing focal length, and capable of providing us 1080p 30 frames per second video. As far as the back-facing sensors, we have a triple camera setup here. The primary shooter is a 64-megapixel f1.8 quad-Bayer camera, 12-megapixel ultra-wide, and an 8-megapixel telephoto up to 3 times optical zoom, and 10 times, of course, digital, basically a hybrid between the two. Capabilities here, top is going to be obviously 8K at 30 frames per second all the way down to 720p, and of course we have different capabilities that we'll get a chance to check out. The fingerprint sensor is centered right there in the back in the right spot. It is flush with the body, so I found that sometimes when I'm trying to look for it, I kind of have to really feel for it, but over time, once you use it after some time, it is pretty much sitting in the right position where it needs to be. Lastly, we actually have an illuminating logo. This is a Snapdragon logo, and they took the technology that they used with their gaming phones, at least from ASUS's side, and they gave us the ability of turning that on. And as far as the capabilities here, we either have it on a static or a breathing pattern, and it actually doesn't change color. So for the most part, what we have here is just this, where you'll notice right there, it has nice breathing color, and it basically, obviously, Snapdragon. This device, again, is a Snapdragon Insider smartphone. So one thing we want to talk about as far as the actual earbuds that they're including here, this is a Master Dynamic Earbuds MW08SI, that's the model number. And they have a nice little slogan here, how sound should sound, Snapdragon sound. So that's one of the main things. 11mm driver, beryllium drivers here that we have here. Supporting ANC, of course, that is actually pretty good. True high-resolution audio all the way up to 24-bit 96 kilohertz audio quality, and of course low latency on Bluetooth 5.2. The other thing I also want to mention too is they've built them in a way where they have better connectivity to provide us that low latency option that they're talking about. Lastly, aptX voice super wideband technology to provide us great clear audio for when we're recording video or actually on conference calls using the microphones on these earbuds. Definitely a pair made in heaven and definitely a very nice looking pair as well. Now I'm going to try to give you guys a quick sample of how does the audio playback from the microphones on the Snapdragon Sound earbuds. Again, the experience is supposed to be some of the best ones that we have on the market, so I went ahead and called myself and left a voicemail so that we can hear how does the audio playback from these earbuds. This is going to be a quick example of how does the audio sound from the microphones on the brand new Master and Dynamic earbuds that comes with the Snapdragon smartphone for insiders. Again, offering us some of the best capabilities when it comes down to calls, as well as obviously the ability of being in the conversation, sounding great. As you notice, that the experience here is very much a stock Android experience. This is going to make it very easy for us to be able to get updates and, of course, security patch updates pushed out to this device. Not a lot of customization needs to be done for this, so hopefully the updates will be as fast as we get them on Pixel devices. And one of the other things we obviously want to talk about is camera experience. Now, one of the things that Snapdragon, or at least the DxO Mark standard came out with this morning was that the cameras on this device are able to rate all the way up to 133, one of the best options in the US, or basically number one in the US, and about number 6 worldwide compared to some of the other cameras on the market. Now, some of the features that they showcase to be able to reach that number are not currently on this device, so hopefully we'll be able to get that as an update or an OTA by the end of this month, and I'll be able to do a much more deep dive video for you guys on the camera capabilities on the Snapdragon smartphone. But as far as what we get here, essentially we have an ultra-wide telephoto, as mentioned to you guys, up to 3 times optical, and of course you can go further than that if you want to be able to go down all the way up to 10. But the experiences that you're getting here, 4K, sorry, I'll go ahead and bring it up here, up to 8K 30 frames per second, 4K 60, down all the way to 720p. If we switch it over to the front-facing camera, we have the ability of going all the way up to 1080p 60 frames, all the way up to HD. We have a few other options, auto tracking, as well as the ability of using portrait, light, and photo. Under video, we also have the ability of using HDR video, and now turning this on switches us automatically to the ultra-wide. So live HDR only supported on the ultra-wide camera right now. And of course, I'll share with you guys some samples of that. We have HDR audio mode also present in here, so that will be part of the sample that I'll share with you guys in a few seconds. But let's not waste any time. Let me share with you guys how does the audio and video show from the front-facing camera and the back-facing camera. Okay, so we're going to start off with the front-facing camera. This camera is capable of giving us 1080p 60 frames per second video, and that's going to be the maximum. One thing to keep in mind is that the main shooters on the back are obviously able to go all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second. But the main benefit as well is the fact that we have a triple microphone setup here that's supposed to give us some of the best audio quality that we can get on a smartphone to date. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, 8K 30 frames per second is going to be the best that we can shoot here, but I feel like 4K 60 is going to be the most shareable content because it just works the best. Now, the ability of shooting 4K 60 on the main sensor in the ultra-wide is very nice. We also have HDR microphone turned on here, so hopefully the audio sounds really good. And we also have HDR video that's supposedly only supported right now on the ultra-wide. There is going to be an update that's going to be pushed out at the end of this month that gives us the ability of getting the camera capabilities up to the DxO mark of 133 that was just published today. And as you saw there, the sound quality on both the front-facing and the back-facing cameras are really nice because we're using some of those microphones that we have in here. Now, the next thing we're going to
Нет, ты не понимаешь, что... Чего они такие позорные? Ты что такое вообще? Ладно. А, у меня же сейчас эта штука есть, да, сейчас, да. Спать пора, наверное. заворожать даже тогда. Типа того.
Здорово, комрады, и всех вас с наступающим Новым годом. Вы давно уже просили меня сделать вот такую вот табличку, как такое видео, которое
каждый день
объясняет, где какой процессор находится, в зависимости от производителя. То есть одна единая табличка для всех процессоров. Я думал сначала сделать разные таблицы по разным производителям, но в итоге пришел к тому, что все-таки, наверное, выгоднее сделать ее одну. Но это еще не все. Я бы просто сейчас сделал бы видео, которое делал уже давно, этот формат вам хорошо известен, но в канун Нового года я бы хотел бы вам сделать маленький небольшой подарочек, в коем мне помог наш кореш, который к нам приходит, это Павел. Мы с ним уже проводили несколько прямых эфиров, несколько интервью. Он к нам приходит как специалист и пользователь техники Apple, но в данном случае он выступал просто как программист, который помог нам сделать все это и воплотить мою идею в жизнь. Этот ролик будет непростой. Дело в том, что я подумал, вот зачем мне за вас делать какие-то выводы? Я хочу предоставить вам возможность сравнить все процессоры, ну не все, конечно, но большинство процессоров самостоятельно. Сразу скажу, это было очень нелегко, мы долго думали над концепцией, долго думали над тем, как лучше сделать тот или иной инструмент, и пришли к тому, что вы сейчас увидите. Итак, я представляю вам целых два новых интересных инструмента для сравнивания процессоров и рассмотрение их в зависимости друг от друга. Воспользоваться ими очень просто. Берете, заходите на мой сайт, и там увидите в меню два новых пункта. Начнем с первого, это сравнительная табличка. Здесь вы можете видеть большую-большую таблицу со всеми процессорами. Это то, что мы с вами делали довольно давно. Это схематичные изображения процессоров, которые выставлены друг от друга по производительности. То есть в самом верху у нас максимально производительные чипы, снизу самое днище. Я разбил это на условные там классы, то есть геймерские, производительные, обычные и самые совсем уж днище. Все процессоры помечены, архитектура помечена ядер, сколько ядер, производительность графической подсистемы и пропускная способность памяти. Все это там есть, а также, если что-то непонятно, снизу справа у нас есть Чак Норрис, нажимаем на Чака Норриса и смотрим справку. Что, как, из чего высчитывалось, чтобы просто этот ролик был не таким длинным, я это здесь не буду упоминать. Если хотите узнать подробнее, читайте там справку. Да, пока что немножко чипов, это бета-версия, не судите пока что строго, там не все гладко, например, шрифты немножечко разъезжаются разные, они там разнобойные немного, они немного не центрированы, там есть много огрехов, я согласен, но это лишь бета-версия. Я потихонечку буду ее обновлять, если вам эта идея зайдет, если вы приветствуете вот такой формат, то я буду продолжать ее наполнять. Ну, если нет, мы это все дело закроем, конечно же. Чтобы зумировать, у нас есть обычное колесико мышки, ну, либо пальцы, если со смартфона вы заходите. Со смартфона